I titled this Rebirth for a reason because Iboga, for those of you, I know some are coming that have been my past clients before, and then there's a lot of people that haven't experienced Iboga. And for those of you that have, already know how Iboga really is a rebirth. And why I really wanted to do this is because what I've learned is that there's a lot of people that really don't understand what this medicine does or really what type of work I'm doing. And so I wanted to create a space that we can actually talk about it, talk about healing, what really healing is, how Iboga can support that outside of being what people would call a psychedelic. I really want to destigmatize the word plant medicine and psychedelic and what those things mean to actually build an understanding for people. So that's my general purpose. So if you guys all want to go ahead and mute yourselves, and whoever else comes in, and we'll go ahead and start while I'm on a roll. So the rebirth, again, the reason why is because after Iboga, you really do have this opportunity to have a rebirth. It's like a new set in your life, in your brain, in your body, allowing you to really have sustainable changes. So I label it rebirth because that is a big way in which Iboga helps you. And so how is it that Iboga can help support change in this rebirth, right? There's so many people that have done therapies, self-help, all kinds of work. I was one of them. Before Iboga, I had done 5 to 6 years of so much self-development and other works, and a lot of it supported and helped, but I still was left with something that was missing, and there was still something there that I couldn't get. I couldn't understand really what was going on. And so this is where we can bring a little bit of the neuroscience in and understanding for people that, you know, beyond spiritual, what is happening for in our brain, what's happening in our body when we actually take Iboga. And so to break it down is it actually resets a lot of pathways, your dopamine receptors, your serotonin. There's many that it does. And Iboga has a lot of alkaloids that it's actually helping and supporting. So that's from a scientific level, right? Your neurotransmitters are being supported. Your nervous system is being supported. But if we take it from a spiritual standpoint, which spiritual in the sense of the things that are not tangible, which is the mind, how it actually supports the mind. On the physical side, yes, it can help you with neuroplasticity. And this is what makes change way easier. Because when we're growing up in our life and through our life, we actually create habits, we create different ways of being. And so when you take this and it's allowing for new neural pathways to be placed, well, those habitual patterns actually get to break. They get to get easier. It's easier to make actually new neural pathways. I call it, it's like a trail. If you've walked the same trail, everyone knows this, you can follow the same trail. It's always there. Until people actually stop walking on it, can nature take it back? And that is exactly what this medicine can support in the brain. On the physical, right? And then same, it makes making new pathways easier because again, your dopamine's affected, which allows for motivation, your serotonin, which increases your mood, it changes those. And if we break down what is really a mood, well, at a certain point in life, we actually created different moods. We weren't born this way. Like no one was born with the mind that they have now. No one was born with the moods that they've created. But actually, we've created these things in ourselves. So now coming back to the spiritual standpoint, I'm going to talk a lot about the mind. And this is going to be wired in like why do we get stuck and why are also therapies and these other things not working as well? Well, one is because we have a mind, and a lot of Western methodologies and psychologies don't actually understand it to its fullest. when in Iboga, this is where I'll talk about, there's a tradition that holds it called Buiti. Now, Buiti is the study of life. They've studied life for thousands of years. So this is ancient wisdom being passed down through generations. And they've studied the mind. They've studied people. They've watched us. They know how we work and operate, the ins and the outs. And so when it comes to the mind, our mind is a tool. A lot of people get stuck thinking that they are the mind, that what's going on in here, in fact, is actually real, and that it is, if they have a thought about themselves or about a thing, that they believe it. You have a negative thought about yourself, you get sucked into it, you believe it. Well, if you take it out and you realize it's a tool, it's not who you are, well then what is this tool that we have? One, it's the biggest support to be a creator. Because we are creators in life, right? We have hands, we do things, we build things, we make things, we're creators. Our biggest tool is our mind to create things. But the thing is that a lot of us in the West have lost that connection and understanding of the power of the mind, how it works, and how we can actually use it to be a creative tool, not a destruction tool. Most people have it a lot of times as their enemy, and it can be a big destruction if you allow it to be. So let's break this down to childhood and move our way up. When you're a child and you're going through your life, you actually start to, you're influenced by your environment. Your brain is a sponge, so it is absorbing everything. How your parents are being and behaving and doing, it's absorbing all of that. Anyone that has children or has been around children can watch this. They will copy everything you're doing. This is them. Actually, all of this stuff is actually getting programmed into your unconscious. So at one point in your life, if something has happened to you, it could have been something very simple. It could have been something really big. You could have had a thought that I'm not good enough. And when you're a child and that gets repeated time and time again, well, now you actually are starting to build this thought as a habit that you continue to think about. But if you have a thought, that thought starts to generate feelings. And when we have certain feelings, if you think I'm not good enough, that gets generated as a feeling, and that's going to be a negative feeling. From there, we take action. We either take positive action or negative action, right? And if we continue this, it now starts to become a habit. If we continue that habit over time, now we don't even need the thought to trigger it. We've actually patterned and programmed our body to respond and start doing this. So our body language is even resonant or emanating, I'm not good enough, because I won't do certain things because I don't actually think I'm good enough. But I don't need to think about it anymore. It's just already programmed in my way of acting and being and how I run in the world. Well, that starts to become what you think is your personality. That becomes your mood. And so this is why a lot of people get stuck, is because they actually, a lot of times, they're trying to change things from where they're at now, from the mind, from these little patterns. But some of these are rooted deep. Some of these go back to childhood. And not saying that therapies don't know this. Yes, they know this in ways. But the biggest missing link that I have found is that we have built such a familiarity to this way of being, to the point that we're so desensitized. And this is where you can see it, as some people literally are wearing these blinders of life. Some people, they're so used to it, right? This is where we can actually observe other people and be like, I don't know why they would do that. That doesn't make sense. Like, obviously they should change their behavior and they shouldn't do that, or they shouldn't keep choosing these things. From the outside, it's easy because you don't have the same familiar feelings around it, the being desensitized. You don't have the blinders on. But when you're in that life, you're actually sucked in, and it's like you have blinders on. This is what we call in Buiti our perception. Our perception, our lens of how we see life, what we're looking through life from. So now, how does this medicine support that? This is the biggest, I would say, separator, is because I have witnessed in my clients and hundreds of people that I've seen take this medicine, it is the integration. because what you've built up, that familiarity of these old thoughts, these old ways of being, get desensitized. Or sorry, you've been desensitized, they get resensitized. So if you were someone that was able to put up with a lot of people's shit and you were just always taking shit, not putting yourself first, well, after this medicine, you get a reset. This is why it's the rebirth, where you start to actually become very sensitive to these things. And this is why it can create sustainable change, because those old ways of being don't feel so comfortable anymore. Now, some people think that can be scary, but that's because some people associate change with fear or bad, because their old association was when something changed, that means it's bad. Well, we also have a natural, what people call in the, we'll say in like psychology world, the ego, right? That's trying to keep us safe. If you think about it, any change is different and it's the unknown. So if your ego is trying to keep you safe all the time, well, of course you're going to resist change. Of course you don't want the change because you don't know what's on the other side. You don't know if you're actually going to be safe. But here's the thing is that your ego doesn't control you. It's just a part of your operating system. It's part of your brain, your mind, to keep you safe, right? Because if there's a tiger in real life, you need to have something that kicks all this adrenaline and you can escape and you can run away from it. Well, when it's things that aren't actually dangerous, but we create this fear in our mind, we don't actually need that. And so this is where, once again, how does this medicine support? Well, it helps you first detox the mind and really have a whole reset. So you get a detox. What does that mean, to detox the mind? Well, your mind it's like a hard drive. Honestly, you could think of your mind like a computer, right? Part of the computer system is it's a hard drive. It takes information and it holds it, right? Our mind can remember everything. It's all stored in there somewhere. But of course, it would be insanity to remember everything all at once. So we don't remember them unless we recall. So in this hard drive, well, now there's certain things that actually get stuck. There's certain things that have impacted you, but it's such a mess in there that you can't actually sift through what is actually going on with me. What is it that I need to improve or change, or why am I not feeling fulfilled in life? Why am I not enjoying life? Well, this allows you to actually take out all the clutter. I call it's like having a hoarder. You go into a hoarder's house, there's a bunch of shit, you got to take care of it. It helps you to actually start to get rid of all the unnecessary things. And then once all of that is gone, you start to see what is actually still stuck. And this can happen in the retreat. This could happen more than likely in your integration time, where you go back into life and you're going to witness and realize, oh yeah, I have certain attachments to things. Oh, I know I said I wanted to change these things, but I've built such a habit. I don't even want, I realize I haven't even wanted to change. I've been resisting this change. Here's the thing is this medicine, nothing in the world can help you if you're not willing and ready to actually make change. Nothing. Unfortunately, that is just how it works. Iboga, what it isn't is a magic bullet. It's not a magic pill that's just going to fix it for you or change it for you, because you at the end of the day still have free will and everything you choose is all yours. And here's the thing is we can see this in other people. Why would they choose that if it's bringing them misery? But people still choose it. It is a choice at the end of the day, but we get, and as a coming from not the outside view, but an inner view, we can feel so chained and locked into some of these patterns. And this is where a lot of therapies and these things I see can miss, is that there are certain attachments to certain ways of being, even when they cause us misery. There can be many different reasons for this. One can be, right, the not feeling safe enough to actually change, and having this false illusion of safety that you've built up and created. And this can go for many things. This can be for your level of acceptance. There's so many things that we look for out of life that we can get actually a false sense of safety, or this. I actually call it junk food. This is like when you have something that you need and it's not actually satisfying, but it gives you a quick little fix, I call it junk food, because it doesn't actually work. It works temporary, but for long time misery. And then what would actually be satisfying is having a sustainable meal that lasts for a long time. Where it's like, okay, I can have this, and then over time, this is actually healthier for me. It feels better, but I might something really quickly. So once again, when it comes to making these changes, Iboga is going to support you in it. Iboga is going to help highlight these things for you. It can't do the work for you. It's going to mirror you. Computer, there's programs running that you set even when you were young, right? Even when you were a teenager, maybe even recently. But there's certain programs that you've set in place, and it's just been listening to you. You actually do have the authority to reset these things, but it is up to you, and it does take effort. It takes a real will and discernment to want to change. And it doesn't have to be scary or hard or this or that. It's effort. It's not hard. You have to put in work. You have to really want to. Breaking habits, it's going to make it supportive and helpful because those neuroplasticity is heightened, but it's not going to do the work for you. And the way I call it is the less attention you give these old things, actually it's like a plant, like a weed. It's this weed that it starts to come up and it has less power the less you give it attention and that you keep choosing it. But if you keep choosing it and you keep giving it attention, it stays strong. Then yeah, keep watering it, keep giving the weed sun, and it's going to grow. The roots are going to get deeper. This is also why if you don't want to change, this isn't your medicine, because it's going to strip your old security and comforts of the familiar passed away. But the things that are good for you are going to feel way better. And this for me is what I needed, because I came from a chaotic household that there were a lot of things I was so desensitized I didn't realize. I was so aware of myself, but I couldn't see the things I wasn't sensitive to. I was numb in certain areas in certain ways and justified in all these different things. Whereas my afterwards, I went back into life and I could see it for what it was and how much it actually hurt me. And this is what I had been doing for so long. And what we end up doing is we build a tolerance for these things, right? So when you do something and then you do it again and do it again and do it again, you build tolerance for it. Well, eventually you're going to meet your threshold. And this is why sometimes people can they're okay, they're doing fine. And then all of a sudden it's like this big boom and they don't know what's wrong. They don't understand what happened because they weren't sensitive to all these things that were building up until it exploded. And then it's like confusing because it feels so overwhelming. It could be like the last little thing that creates the boom and you don't even know what's happening. Now, again, this helps because the first time it happens, you're going to feel it for what it really is. The second time, it's going to get heavier. And if you're not wanting to actually change, it's going to feel like, well, wow, I feel like shit. Well, of course you feel like shit. You're choosing things that are shitty for yourself, not good for yourself. You're not going to feel good. But it allows you to re-feel that pain that you have been ignoring for so long to finally walk a new trail. And then you get on that new trail, and every time, guess what? We're human. We're going to fall down. We're going to mess up. We're going to forget. But you're going to be remembered because it's going to feel like shit. And then you just get back on the trail. And you're like, eventually it starts to become a new part of your being. What you're doing is you're actually creating new programs in the mind. You're creating new ways of being that you don't have to take as much effort once you've already placed it. The beginning takes effort. Once you've done it after a time, it becomes a way of being. Now it's your operating system that's running in the background that you don't have to think about all the time. So also with our mind and thoughts, again, we are the creators of our thoughts. But if you have these all old programs and all these programs, like you've operated, you've put these things in there, Even if you're like, I don't want them anymore, they're causing me misery, you put them in at a certain time, which means you have to learn how to reprogram them. I'm not saying this medicine is the only thing that works. No, I've experienced a lot of different things. I've been around Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. He's doing great things. But the support and help, so it doesn't take so much time and so much effort and so much hard work. Like before Iboga, I was meditating an hour to 5 hours. Like, it was crazy. Like, we could be doing so much more with our time versus having to try and fix ourselves or heal ourselves or this or that or whatever. It's like, what could you do with that time if you didn't have to continuously try to reprogram this all the time in yourself? Afterwards, it's actually an integration. It's like doing it in every moment of your life. Like, new lessons aren't going to come to you until they're presented in your life, right? Like, you can't, even in a ceremony, not everything can come up all at once. Your life is actually the biggest teacher. And this medicine is a teacher. It continues teaching you in your integration and beyond. But are you listening? Are you actually learning from life? If you just put back on the blindfolds and go back, you're going to forget. You're going to just go back to your old things. Eventually, you'll build a new tolerance. Eventually, you'll be exactly where you were before. It's up to you. And so another thing with the thoughts is I'm going to use Instagram as a great example because we all know what algorithms are, right? You start looking at certain things and all of a sudden it starts feeding you all these different things. Your mind is the same way. What you feed it, you get more of. It's like, oh, you want more of this? I'll give you more of that. You want to think more negative things about yourself? Here you go. Here's some more. And it's creative. It'll come up with all kinds of different things. This is also like being on a train that you don't want to be on. You're like going 100 miles an hour that way. And if you don't want to be on that train, you got to get off. You have to realize that I created all of these algorithms and ways of being that I want to recreate. The third part of the mind is that what I've witnessed is that so many people live inside their mind. It's like they don't know how to not be in the mind. And actually that is a problem too, because like any tool, when you need something, you use it. And when you're done, you put it away. You don't need to be in it all the time. Otherwise, it's like being a fish in water. You don't even realize you're in the mind all the time. But if you're in the mind, how can you be present? You know how some people say, oh, I'm very forgetful? No, you're just not very present in your life. If you were actually present in your life, you would actually be there noticing, witnessing, having your camcorder, which is your eyes, filming everything and remembering it. There's actually a lot of people that they're not in their present. They're up here. And that's a whole also reintegrating and coming out and actually realizing, it's like realizing you're actually a crab, you're not a fish. You can come out of the water if you want to. You don't have to live in it. And realizing what is it like. And we've all had these moments at some point where we were just there in the moment and it was refreshing. It was beautiful. We're just there. Whatever it is, we're just accepting to everything that's there. And so let's see what else I wanted to share with you guys. There's so much on the mind, and this is why I also love this tradition. You know, there's the whole experience. Like if you want the full experience of the tradition, you got to go to Africa. Our retreats and what we hold are bringing the world completely. And the tradition itself is beautiful in many ways. So like I said, they've carried these teachings to help people understand, and that's actually what becomes the important part to share with people is different teachings of that this Bwiti tradition has passed down for generations, thousands and thousands of years. You know, there's so much more on the mind, and I'm just giving you a snippet a little today, but there's more. And then there's the application of. And so I want to talk a little bit more on like why change is so hard. I kind of touched on it a little, but there's a few more things I really want to speak on. Well, why also change can be so hard is because, again, I was saying how we have these habits we build that become our behavior. They become kind of our personality. Well, your whole identity can get wrapped up in these old ways of being. And people get afraid to change. And sometimes they get afraid, they're afraid, and they think everything's going to change, and it's like this radical, they've never actually thought it through, they just feel all this fear. Versus actually, well, if I'm not attached to this old identity, which could be the people pleaser, right? The person that's always achieving, the person that has it all together, the strong one, whatever, you know, there's so many different identities we can get attached to. Some people don't want to let those go. And so change can be hard because we want the change. We don't want to feel miserable, but we don't actually want to change who we are in our ways of being. And this is actually the important part, is you have to look at yourself and who you've been choosing to be, who you continuously, what are you sacrificing and what are you getting, right? Because everything we choose, even if we're miserable, we still get something. There's a benefit. There's benefit to everything. The pleaser can look nice on the outside, but actually it's very manipulative, and it can a lot of times build resentment because they're not actually putting themselves first. They're never choosing themselves. But some people can get so attached to it because it's what they make it mean about themselves. I was one of those that I actually realized I thought if I put others first, that was loving. I actually associated love with putting other people first and pleasing and making other people comfortable, XYZ. And I thought if I stopped doing that, then I wouldn't be loving. Then I wouldn't be a loving person. And that's actually not true. And a lot of times we just never stop to break these down to understand what's really going on. Again, it was this false sense that I was perceiving. I thought this is love. No, that's an illusion of love. It's not real love. And when we start to realize these things, it kind of calls us forward to then, well, what is true loving and what is true caring? And for anyone, that's being honest. It's being real. It's, you also, this is the other part, is your creator. You define what it is for yourself. Everything is yours. Your happiness, your joy, your love, you define what that is, because yours is going to be different than mine. And this is also important if you're ever going to have a facilitator, a provider, anyone. Everyone should be guiding you back to yourself for your answers, because there is no guru. Yes, in Bhuiti we have teachings, but we're never going to tell you how to live your life or what, this is the law, or this is like only this person knows best. Like, we don't do that. No, you have everything inside you that you need. You have all the answers, because I'm not, my soul's not in your body. I can't tell you what's best for you. Only you know. You're creating this life for yourself in your unique ways. And so this is the important part of, like, there is no guru. Letting go of that idea and those, and this is something I see in society a lot, is we want to have someone on this pedestal that we can look up to and just have all the answers. But underneath that, why that is, because we don't want to take the responsibility. We don't want to fail. We don't want to, if we made the choice and we failed, then it's all on us. But that's part of growing up and being an adult and choosing and creating in life, but also not putting the pressure on yourself that, guess what, if you're going to try anything, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to get it wrong sometimes, and just allowing that to be okay. And so, yes, change can be hard when we're attached to our old identities. Attachment in general, you can't change. If you're attached to something, like literally, if you had a chain on you and you're chained to a house, you're not going anywhere, right? And this is in Bhuiti, we actually have a teaching around it. If you're attached to anything, you become a slave to it, because you literally need it now, right? You are attached to it. The other part that I kind of need, any growth is going to make us feel uncomfortable. And so growth and discomfort is actually the way through. And when we talk about stress or discomfort, there's good stress and there's bad stress, right? Everyone knows that's ever gone to the gym. You want to build muscle? Guess what? It's going to be painful. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to put stress on your body, but you do it anyways. And the other thing is, why you're doing it, why you're choosing it, because this is the thing that keeps you going through, is you have a target. You're set into your future. You're motivated, because I'm going through this pain now because I want to get there. again, you have to have a vision for yourself. You have to be wanting to lead yourself somewhere. Because otherwise, yeah, why put up with all the discomfort? Why put up with the stress or the pain of anything? People will retract. They'll stop. They'll give up. This is why some people, they have it. Some people, they don't. What's the difference? It's not the person. It's their vision. It's that discernment, their persistence to, no matter what, I'm choosing this. I'm going to keep going. And that's a quality that we can all build within ourselves. Some people are born with it more, and others, you build it. You can build anything inside yourself. It's like all these things are muscles. Some people have weak muscles for things. And this is what I talk about in my retreats, is some people have a weak muscle for discomfort. Guess what? You're going to have to learn to build that and build it up and get to the point that you choose the discomfort you want. And the last thing around what makes change so hard is the habits, is the old pathways, is that we've just done the same thing for so long that we have those blinders on, right? And I spoke on that a little bit, so I don't need to go in that too much. And two, we resist the change. It's like we know we should change, but we haven't had, oh, this is a good one. It's like you haven't had something happen that has actually made you want to change. That's meaningful enough. It doesn't even have to be a bad thing, but that's meaningful enough. This is why people that have kids, they grow up overnight. Not everyone, but there are some that when they just literally have a child, it's like all of a sudden they just have this radical change inside themselves. Why? What changed? They made a decision. And then there's some people that it's rock bottom, right? They finally get to a point that it's like, I don't care what I have to do. I just don't want to be here anymore. And so everyone's is like reason for change and wanting to persevere through is different. I love the saying, like, until you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, like that is very prevalent. You will not change until you're just so done. And this is why also the integration can be very powerful, because maybe you're not full, like you want the change. And this was me. I was a little stubborn. I wanted to change. I didn't realize what that change really meant. So my stubborn little self went back into life and I was like, oh, that's what I have to change. And I was like, oh, well, let me do it again. Oh man, that really feels like shit. And then I was just like, okay, yeah, I really don't want that. Now, if you want to blame life, you can get stuck in that and continue choosing it and being like, why do I feel worse after this medicine? No. You feel bad because it's highlighting to you what's not good for you. So let's talk a little bit now. Yeah, let's talk a little bit now about how this medicine is different from other medicines. You'll hear me call it medicine because I don't really like to genre it into a plant medicine, into psychedelic, hallucinogen, whatever, all these things, because it actually takes what we're doing when we do that is we put it in this box and it's like, okay, here's this box. And now that I have defined this box, I can expect what it's going to do in XYZ. Well, you'll become very disappointed if you have all these expectations. Coming to this medicine, it's not any of those things. And actually the way that we're trained and the way we serve it is for healing and awakening, which means even more so, it's not for any of these things that are in this box of plant medicine. No, it is this medicine to help you heal, to help you have radical change, to help the mind on a physical sense and the spiritual sense, right? To repattern, to create those new neural pathways, to have a full reset. And there's so much, honestly, that the medicine does that I couldn't even tell you because it is intelligent. It's going in and individually helping someone support them internally. And this is important to know is that, right, when we change internally, it's less about our external environment, but also who we've been up until now is who created the external environment. So be ready that a lot of times when you change things outside of you, you're going to want to naturally change too. Or sometimes you actually have a beautiful life. You're successful, you're happy, you have beautiful things, but you can't even enjoy it because something internal is going on. And this medicine really helps you. Again, the difference is it gives you a big mirror to look at yourself. It's going to show you exactly how your mind is. You weren't born with this mind, you created the mind. So let's look at that mind that you've created and then give you the chance, because it's not going to do it for you. It's not going to go in and rewire. Do you still want this? Are you ready to change this mind that you've created? Are you ready to actually put in that effort and work? And it will help you. It will support you. It will help you even bring lessons into life that you need to see yourself. This is super important. And I see your message, Michael. Hi, good to see you as well. I'll do the Q&A at the end and answer your question. And so other medicines, a lot of people have like these out-of-body experiences or other things that they experience. And this isn't like that at all. I tell everyone that comes to me that really wants to do this medicine, this is an opportunity for you to heal. And choosing your provider is also a very important piece. Why is choosing your provider important? First off, this is something you don't do by yourself because there is safety that we prioritize first. Now, when it comes to safety, there's a lot of questions around Iboga and is it safe? Well, first off, the misconception that happens the most around the safety is that people associate it with Ibogaine. Ibogaine and Iboga are two separate things. Ibogaine is actually known to be cardiotoxic to the heart, which can cause severe problems if someone's not in a clinical setting and healthy and all these things. That's Ibogaine. Iboga has one of the alkaloids is Ibogaine in Iboga, but it's at a smaller dose of it. And actually all the other alkaloids support each other. So the reason why it can be cardiotoxic is the QT in the heart opens, the valve opens for extended time on Ibogaine. Now, when you have all the alkaloids of Iboga, it actually regulates that. So it doesn't do that. It's going to open and close normally. But when you just extract this medicine and make it into something else, you're coming into now more dangerous zones. Now, when it comes to the safety of this medicine, you do have to be a healthy body, a healthy person, mentally stable in the ways of not being like psychosis or going through a psychosis or too mentally, like having a mental disorder. There's different ways. And so every provider, you should go through a screening process. If a provider is not doing that for you, it should bring up some red flags for you because you do want to prioritize your safety and know that the person that's handling you is doing it in a safe way. And that's that they're checking, it's up to you. You're your own advocate for yourself, but they should be curious about you and where you're at, your state, your health, your mental health. And this is important. The other reason that having a provider is important is in Bwiti, we call ourselves healers, right? We're providers, but we're healers as well. And so there's 3 parts to really healing. You have the medicine that's helping, you have you, and you have your provider. So the provider becomes this bridge for you. Now that provider, you do want to know, what's supported them, here's the thing is, and we're trained to know this, if you can't heal yourself, you can't help anyone else. So if your person that you're going towards hasn't actually done their work, they can't lead you somewhere they've never been. And so it's important to know who you're, going to have as a provider, who's going to be holding you. You want to feel safe and all these things, of course. But your provider is a very, very important part of it. Knowing that they've done their own inner work and that they're holding your safety number one, first and foremost, is very important. So I mentioned, I kind of weaved all these topics in together. I don't do bullet points or things like that. So they're all being weaved in. But the last topic I was going to talk about is the research on it. And, be careful doing research because there's a lot on Ibogaine. They're not the same. They're similar, but they're very, very different. But there's a lot of good studies on Ibogaine that talk about the brain and how it changes and all the neurotransmitters, how it can be a reset for even the nervous system. And but again, this is so new to the Western world. There's actually a lot of things that aren't researched. And your biggest research that you can do is maybe talk to someone that's had their own medicine experience themselves. You can talk to providers, but go talk to people that have experienced it that aren't a provider, so you can get it in and outs and an understanding. But here's the thing is to remember is that as much as it can help your nervous system, it can change all your support your neuroplasticity, the neurotransmitters, it can't do the work for you. So even with this, you can come, and if you're not willing to really do the work, you can end up with the same life. This isn't going to just change you overnight. This is going to support your change. It's going to help you. And so last, I will talk a little bit about the retreats and how they run, and then I would love to open it up for Q&A. So our retreats, I generally advise people to either do 3 ceremonies, and that's over an 11-day. It's a long time. If people can't make that, then you have to do at least 2. There's never a ceremony that they just do 1, because you actually have to go through the detox first. That's the first ceremony, and then there's a second ceremony where we're actually getting to the nitty-gritties, the healing, the habits, the behaviors, all the things that are needed and supported. And then if people can't come to a third, then I say, okay, then go back into your life. You're going to have a good reset. And you're going to learn from your life if there's anything still stuck. And maybe you can do it on your own. Maybe you decide you want to come back. That's up to you. The third is just, there's a lot of work to do. And depending if you're in a group setting, if you're doing a 2-on-1 or a 1-on-1, there's going to be that 1-on-1 support's going to be changed based on what you're choosing to do. And so I'll actually answer Michael's question on this, because it associates to the retreat. So he asked how much it is, the medicine. So it's not the medicine actually that's you're paying for. It's you're actually investing in a retreat. And they vary. It depends on who you're going to, where you're going, and the amount of support you want, and again, how willing you are to change. They can run from anywhere from, usually average is $3,500 for a 2-ceremony retreat. That's a pretty average staple around the States and other places in Europe. Mine are very inclusive, and I run a 3-on-1, and I usually have an intern or another provider there, or 4-on-2. Because I prefer to work more in a closed circle and not have too many people, because I really enjoy working on the thorough side and really making sure I can support someone, so that in the retreat we can get as much done, and then beyond in the integration where I actually work. And so my work also includes the integration program as well, and those can run from $4,500 to around $5,000, just depending on the package that people are buying. And then I do 2-on-1s, 1-on-1s. I have a VIP program that's like a year long, where there's multiple retreats in the year that you're getting ongoing support for a whole year. And so really it's, if you're very curious, get on a call with me, and we can actually talk about where you are, what you need, because the other thing is everyone's an individual. They need different supports, and then it's meeting people where they're at. What's their expenses? What do they need for themselves? So I'm going to, and also with my retreats, they are around the world. So I do work in the States. I work in Mexico, Canada, Europe, really kind of where things have been needed. So if you are interested, please inquire, because there's a lot of availability in different places. And then I will go ahead and open up the Q&A. I have one here. What is the role of the provider and healer during the ceremony? And what does support and talking, processing throughout the ceremony? Yeah, great question. And that's from Danny. Hi. So the role of a provider and healer. So our role is to support the space, and a safe space. That's the main important thing, is safety. The second role is helping you hunt yourself. As I said earlier, is we have these blinders on in life, and sometimes we're not seeing ourselves or seeing these different things. And it's supporting and helping us to wake up to ourselves, to see where where a person might be stuck and where we might need to go. Now, when I say where we might need to go, there's two roles. So there's a lot of counseling, or we can call it, for lack of better words, coaching, that goes on in the retreat. So there is constant support. We're teaching the different teachings, but part of being a good teacher is not just helping someone understand it intellectually, but to actually understand it inside themselves, for themselves. Anyone can talk and say things and repeat information, but does that mean you understand it? And so I'll speak to myself as a provider, is to help people really understand this for themselves, to have a living understanding. That to me is a good teacher. And then during the ceremonies, there's an opportunity to have one-on-one support. So we share fire talks, which if you stay connected with me, you'll hear more about fire talks. And that's just where we share the teachings. And sometimes we have one-on-one where it's like helping to extract what's really going on in there. Like I said earlier, a lot of times people have these false senses of safety or security or love or this or that they're actually operating and attached to, that we need to uncover, because you don't want a false sense of it. You want the real thing, or else it's never going to feel good. And then during the ceremonies, there's an opportunity to actually, what we call in this work, be journeyed, where there's an opportunity to, I don't like to give too much away because, again, expectations are such a barrier, but I'll give you a little taste of what goes on. But we work and we help you come up with, you write your own questions, and we guide you to go find those answers for yourself. We guide you to, we all have an intuition. We all have something that's guiding us, whether, we all have experienced it in moments, whether you're spiritual or not, doesn't matter. We all have noticed when it's like, man, I did that thing and I knew I shouldn't have. This is also why Iboga is so good, is because it starts to help you be like, yes, why are you not listening to yourself? That's ridiculous. That's silly. But when you have the medicine, that voice gets heightened. It gets more elevated, you can say. The mind starts to actually quiet more, so it's not running in the background all the time, and that's where you can start to hear that intuition more. And in Boiti, we call it the soul. So it's actually reuniting yourself with your own soul, and that knowing, that wisdom, however you want to call it or see it, you're being reconnected with that part of yourself. And so that healer, that provider is helping you to do that. Not everyone's ready for that work. Not everyone, maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. It doesn't matter. It's not what's going to change your life forever. It can definitely support you, can help you. And so that's one part of it. And the other part is that we can also help people to go back to experiences that are stuck, help them release things. It's really finding, we're kind of like the investigators of the mind and the body and what's going on in the internal, and helping people to declutter. And the other way I see it is that, like, our mind, some of our wires get crossed. It's like we're doing things that are backwards or opposite or weird. And it's to help people find that, and actually to figure out what they need to have a normal wire. I will share one of mine because I think it's hilarious and weird, because this is just a great example of how our wires can get crossed. During one of my experiences, I had, and a lot of times the medicine's working through insights. I had this insight, realization that I was literally wired to go towards things that were not good for me. And it sounds so silly. It was like, and I was like, well, how do I stop doing that? It's like, yeah, just go towards what feels good. And it's like, well, duh, that's like elementary obvious, but that was what I was doing internally. And this finally helped me to create this like new wire where it was like, yeah, we're going to go towards what feels good instead of what feels bad and danger and this way. But I was literally, it was like, I couldn't see red flags. I would just let things go by me. And now just having that wire set, I actually notice those red flags. I notice what it does not look normal or is not good for me anymore, or different things like that where I couldn't see that before. So I would love to hear if, on my Google side, if you guys have any questions, you're welcome to share. I have another one coming in through Instagram, but I want to just leave it open. So while I'm waiting, I do have another question from Danny. He asks actually do traditional retreats, ceremonies in Gabon differ greatly in structure from retreats and ceremonies offered elsewhere? Is there a traditional structure and say a fusion or more modern structure? Yeah, great question. So I trained with a shaman from Gabon named Muganda. He actually came out to the West over 20 years ago and has worked with Western people for a long time. The reason I share this is because a lot of people in Africa are not used to the Western world and how much our brains have gotten changed and how we do things and why we operate the way we do, where he's had that understanding and opportunity to see. Now there, and why this is important to mention is because they don't actually work with the medicine in the way that we use it for healing, because they don't have the same problems. They don't have the same mind and all these things that they're not trying to heal themselves with it. For us, we actually as providers and being trained in that village, we're getting I'll be generous and say 5% of what this medicine is capable of, and what the tradition really holds. And so for some people, having those, that cultural exposure or tradition, they don't always want to experience that. It's different. It's very different from our Western world, and that's fine. But the difference is he does bring Westerners in and does we actually run the same type of retreat style that he does there, but it's still for Westerners. Now they have their own that they do for the Bwiti culture there. And actually they don't lay down with the medicine like we do for healing, where you're going to be laying down all night. And this is actually because it's a very inward experience. You're not roaming around. You're actually laying down on usually a mattress with a blindfold, because that's how you're going to go inward. Now they have 4 major initiations that they do, where initiation is something completely different too. So this is part of the tradition, is being initiated. And he has added where the Westerners can get initiated. So that would be a 5th, where they can actually get initiated into the Bwiti and become Bwiti. And we can inquire in that, what that really means in another time. But they don't take the medicine like we do. They have their 4 major initiations, and that's it. And so in some ways, you can call it has been structured towards the West and towards healing. And if you went there to Africa versus a provider here in the States, it's going to be very similar. The biggest difference is there's going to be a lot more singing and dancing and people dressed up in Africa. Maybe you get to see a welcome ceremony when you're in Africa versus in the States. We still carry the tradition. You're going to see traditional stuff that we have. We're going to wear these skirts that is part of the tradition. But other than that, it is really just based off of a retreat for your healing. Yeah, so Michael, you asked about congestive heart failure running in your family. So this is where you would this is part of the medical screening. Just because it runs in your family doesn't necessarily mean you have a problem with it, but you would actually go and get an EKG yourself to check your own heart. And what the EKG does is it's showing the history of your heart. So you would get a 12 lead, shows you 12 different versions or different views of the heart to actually say the history and where your heart is at. And so, yeah, that wouldn't be a problem or counteractive to the medicine at all. You would just need a medical screening. I mean, everyone does anyways. And then any other questions before we get off here? Hey, Katia. Yeah.
Hey, Samantha. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's so good to see you.
I was blessed enough to have Samantha serve me in Gabon, which is amazing. And go to Sam. Samantha's amazing. She's brilliant.
Thank you.
Samantha, I wanted to ask you, so with the medicine and that, I've got a cousin that wants to come to Gabon and experience the medicine. He's got a bit of a drinking problem and he wants to first obviously do a full detox before coming to Gabon and that. But he says, though, he doesn't want to stop drinking, but he wants to find the root cause of why he goes to substances. would that then help him, obviously, if he does the medicine and that?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm happy to get on a call with him too, but I would first be curious of like, what does it mean he doesn't want to stop drinking? Like, is it like he wants to be an occasional drinker, wants a day drinker, like what does that really mean? Of course he can always like if he wants to go through that whole detox to be able to do it and just to find out why he has a substance abuse, problem, for sure, he can totally do that. But yeah, I mean, and if he's not wanting to change, then like that, so be it. He's going to go do what he's going to do anyways. So, but if he wants to find those answers about himself, he totally can. Yeah. And then too, like with the drinking, it just like that, he's doing the best step, like going and doing a detox, first will be the best thing for sure. Sweet. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're super welcome. All right. Yeah, you're welcome, Danny. You're welcome, Michael. Yeah, you're an EMT. Well, the EMT, I'm not sure if you guys have a 12 lead. Sometimes I send people to like the fire station and they only have a 1 lead. So definitely make sure you get the 12 lead. It just shows more information. Great. And if there's no other questions, then let me see if I went over through everything.
Yeah. And then Samantha, how long, does the medicine stay in your system then for?
So with this medicine, one is it really matters how much you're actually honoring the medicine that you've taken, which means you're not going back to substances, you're not putting other plant medicines in you for at least 6 months. And if you keep yourself clear during that time, the medicine keeps working with you. It can last from 5 months to 6 months to, honestly, they're actually scientifically, they're still doing studies how the neuroplasticity is still ongoing. And so it stays with you if you are with it. And honestly, what stays with you the most is your soul. Again, it's life will continue to teach you. You can call it the medicine, you can call it your soul, you can call it whatever, you call it life. But if you stay engaged with life and use it as a teacher, you'll realize that it's continuing to teach you always. And this is what I also, do love about this medicine is there's healing and there's awakening. And what I've realized is that there's a lot in the West that we've misunderstood what real healing is, and who needs healing, who needs awakening, what do those even mean? And so that will be another topic in the future I would love to dive into and go into in specifics and what that is. Because after Iboga, the purpose is really for you to go enjoy your life, to go live, to enjoy the life that you're creating. And this is why it offers that huge reset. It wants you to enjoy life. It's like, yeah, let's make all these old things that make you feel miserable feel really, really shitty and not familiar anymore, so that you can actually want to make new changes. So great question. Alrighty, you guys. Well, I appreciate you all for being here, and this was really fun for me. I enjoy these moments. Stay tuned because I will be doing some more in the future. Hi, Regina. Lovely to see you. I'll be doing more in the future with different teachings, different understandings that aren't just about Iboga. Not everyone's going to be ready for the medicine, and I can honor that. I don't think it's the only way, and I would love to create content and other things for people to really start to help themselves or understand how to get unstuck. So definitely stay open for those. I'll also be creating a community support where people can come in once a month. We can talk. I can go over different teachings, and then we'll also have an opportunity to get some Q&A and some support live. And then there will be a private group for people that have experienced the medicine that just want to continue deepening in these teachings, because these teachings really are very supportive. So you guys have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you